Hello and welcome to the Superhero Hub. I'm Sam,
On that.
and today we're reviewing.
Preacher.
Yeah. So I thought this was a strong episode. I'm saying this now outright purely because last episode was. See, I didn't mind it, but in the grand scheme of things, it was rated like the worst episode, and it was getting 1, 2 stars. It was bad.
What?
It was
Well, I mean, it wasn't great, but it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, terrible.
Wow.
Consensus was weakest episode. So yeah, so this episode starts off with Ando from Heroes
hmm
going round collecting stuff out of people. It was kind of obvious. It was kind of soul stuff, I guess, purely because I mean, he goes and gets it from them and then gives it to the woman. I was speculating it was going to be some sort of anti-aging thing or something like that, but like,
Really? Nah, I was in on it being a soul straight away. It kind of makes sense of what the show is anyway.
yeah. So you've got carrying on straight from last episode. You got the little kid with the saint, and she kind of points him in the direction of the preacher, as it were. And then I guess she sisses out last second and points him to the wrong room. And then there's a guy in there, and the guy's running his mouth. And like, I was confused because in my head I thought he popped him, and he shot him so good he blasted through about 4 or 5 rooms. But then I was thinking, was that just the bullet?
I'm not sure. Although I was focused on the fact that he crushed his hand, and that's about it.
Oh,
Did
that
we ever?
was dirty.
Yeah, it was. Did we ever see the little girl again?
Not in this episode, no.
Okay, so we assume that she got away.
Yeah, I don't know where though, but like this to me felt like a kind of mid-season finale or something like that. It kind of ended on like on a final tone. So yeah, I thought that they were kind of eating their pancakes and stuff like that. And then like I guess Jesse notices something, so he goes in, opens the fridge, and is looking at stuff, and then he realizes the hole, and he opens up the yogurt, and like the bullet which just kind of went off is like in the pot. So it's like, yo, let's get out of here. And then yeah, but they forget about Dennis.
hmm
So he kind of grabs Dennis, and then he's like agrees to meet with him. I mean, they go to the library, don't they? And then you got the whole like Saint Achilles backstory. I thought that was kind of cool. The effects on that.
That was cool. And having not read the comic book, I wonder was that an issue of the actual comic book, or in the comic were they reading some sort of comic? I wonder.
I'm guessing they flashed up the actual comic book pictures were probably the issue of like Preacher, where they kind of explained his backstory in the comics.
hmm
You know what I mean? So that was kind of cool. They explained all his story, that like he was some American Civil War guy, and he was getting all these nicknames and stuff like that. And yeah, it
It was cool. I'd rather we get his backstory like that than have a big flashback episode, especially considering that's basically what we had last week anyway. I thought
yeah.
it was a good way to just cut to the chase, explain who he was, and then move on.
Yeah, so basically, like, he's done all these heinous things, so he's kind of counted as soulless, so his wife and daughter die, they get sent to heaven, and he can't get into there, so he kind of makes a deal there to kind of get him into heaven, and is like, alright then, I'll give you an hour. And I mean, so yeah, Jesse kind of dips off, so it's kind of, one thing I was thinking, like, they introduced the whole soul thing at the start of this episode and it's integral to the plot. Would you have preferred that they kind of dropped that in sooner in the series and then kind of came back to it now, as in it being relevant now, as opposed to literally dropping it right at the start of the episode and then having it like extremely relevant to the rest of it?
Uh, well, 99% of the time I would, and yeah, that would be my preference for a show. Having said that, with this show, it is more like a road trip thing, where they just show up for the week and whatever's relevant to that week is dropped, and then they move on. So I mean, I would prefer it, but I get it. It's what the show is. It's the same for, never mind the soul thing, but there's this dude, what's his name again?
Saint of Killers,
Yeah.
Saint of Killers, or whatever.
He's been around since the beginning of the season, but now we've only just got his backstory in the same episode where he's not been killed off, but he's been ditched, basically. So it's just what they do, I guess.
Yeah, so he's kind of coming up with this soul plan, and then it kind of leads him round to his wacky thing of trying to get into the back of the truck to get the souls, and then like he finally managed to get into there and go and see Ando. Elsewhere, like I don't get what.
That was funny though. I like that.
Yeah, like back at the house, it's kind of revealed that Denis is Cassidy's son, which I thought was pretty cool, because they were like, "Oh, is that your dad?" and stuff like that, and it's like, "Oh, this guy's a vampire." You know what I mean? So I doubt it. So that was pretty cool. And like Tulip kind of went off on one, like the saint gripped her up by the throat, and it was like, oh, like when she comes back in, she was like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" And she was like, "Oh, he touched me." And they kind of made a big deal about that, like it was something, and it's just like.
But maybe does that mean like she's been like infected in some sort of way?
I don't know. I wouldn't think so. That's a bit like.
There's got to be more to that.
Yeah.
Because she was acting weird for the rest of the episode. And also, don't we have a thing later on where doesn't Jesse give away like 1% of his soul or something?
Yeah, it's kind of getting to that.
So it's like they're both becoming slightly more demonic in some way or another.
Alright, calm down. Yeah, so yeah, he figures, "Oh no, because nothing else is kind of working, I'll try my own," and it just happens to be a match. So he's like, "What's the least I can give?" And it's 1%. So he gives that 1% away, and as such it means he's got a soul, but he's like, "Look, I ain't sending you to heaven because there's no God there, I guess." I don't think he really can, but it does mean he can be at the mercy of the voice of God, as it were. So it kind of locks him up in the van, and then as you said, ditches him in a river, kind of ditches him in the armoured van, and that goes into the river, so he's kind of stuck there. It's interesting, he's got these powers and that, but he can't bust out of the back of the van. And then for some reason, which I thought was a bit doofy, is that he digs a hole in Dennis's bathroom and then ditches the guns and stuff there.
Yeah.
I was like, way to lead him straight back there, you know what I mean? Because if he's got some sort of sixth sense with the gun and stuff like that, with the items, then he's just going to go back there and end up killing Dennis anyway.
Probably, yeah. I don't know where they're going with it, but wasn't there a reference to the angel guy as well?
Oh,
but
yeah.
I think they found out that he died, and I forget what it was, but there was some sort of sign up there.
Outside.
Yeah, that was funny, but I can't remember what it said.
Yeah, me neither. So yeah, all kind of things were, for me, felt like it was pointing to him kind of coming back soon enough and whatever. You know what I mean? But I guess it's kind of tameable now with the voice, but maybe the 1% soul being in him, maybe over time it'll kind of, make him change his ways. So what did you think of the episode all in all?
Yeah, I thought it's pretty good. I think a lot of stuff happened that's going to become important at some point. I think it can't be a coincidence they found out that the angels died in this episode. The 1%, Jesse giving away 1% of his soul has got a matter. Tulip, whatever happened to her. We're establishing some of Cassidy's backstory. So I thought it was a big episode. I think I will say about last episodes, I didn't mind too much, but I think we've learnt more about the characters and had more development in this episode, which is odd considering the last one was this big flashback that apparently was meant to reveal stuff, but it didn't really. So it's definitely a step up.
Yeah, I thought it was a good episode. Yeah, but as I say, I mean, it felt to me like a kind of mid-season finale. It looked as though it was kind of laying roots for like the rest of the season. But obviously, you've got Hitler and Hell, that stuff, which ain't been visited for a couple of episodes. Also, you got Hair Star and his kind of organisation and stuff like that, which is probably going to feature more heavily in the next few episodes or whatever leading up to the end of the run. So yeah, numbers.
I'll give it an 8.
I'll probably do exactly the same thing. I feel comfortable giving it an 8. It was much better than last week's episode.
Yeah, but I still didn't think one. Did someone really give it a 1 star?
Swear down.
That's crazy.
I can't remember the institution, but I'm sure they did. I'm Sam.
I'm
And we're always 5 star. See you next time.